Okay, we are live once again. And today, I guess we'll address. I've gotten several comments from people uh, about not getting notices or whatever. And there's something weird. It's like, I mean, I set the settings like that. I would get an email every time somebody subscribed and who it was. I would get an email when all my subscriptions or people that I've subscribed to post something. And that just stopped. I never changed the settings, and I never kind of did do anything about it, you know. Uh, so that's, I don't know. I don't know if you have to go back and reset them or what. It's strange because, like, when I did something, I started getting the emails and people subscribed, and then abruptly it stopped. So I don't know if you have to re-up this or every time Google changes something or changes because Google does change things, you have to go back and reset everything once again. Okay. All right. Generation Kill 001. Yes. We'll talk about that. I did do a live when he kind of did it to announce to people that he got that up. How that came about is the battlefield curator. He contacted me and he said, I would like to do an interview with you. And I said, okay. And, he came down to the house. He lives about 4 hours away from me, so it wasn't that long of a drive. And granted, he's a tad bit more professional than I am with his lightings. And yes, he did have microphones, that we used. And actually, he did quite a good job. He was there for quite a while, and I guess he's got more experience in all of this, and then the editing. And he did do a good job of the editing because between the neighbor mowing the lawn and dogs, he has some sort of software that filtered all that nonsense out. And that video came out. I mean, it was excellent. I was impressed. My wife, everyone's impressed. It was an awful lot of work on that young man's part to do that, to put that all together, edit it, and get it up, okay, on there to where it come out extremely professional and very well. You know, his video editing skills are a little bit more advanced than mine, but I did like it, and I thank all of you. He's had a lot of good reviews on it, and I have too. A lot of people have commented and sent me emails about it and that, and uh, it did come out very well. I would like to do other ones. I did try to contact Readiness Review, okay, and something and got jumbled up there. And what I was going to do is do a live chat with him. Well, I believe he lives down in Georgia, but basically, I just wanted to do a chat with him discussing buying mill surplus guns because out of all the people out there that make videos about this, he gives a lot of current information. He goes to gun shows and shows you the prices and discusses this. And he is, actively searching out and finding deals and buying surplus guns, where I've kind of curtailed from that. So you have somebody that's very active. And the thing I like about him is he does his videos without having to insult people or make fun or whatever. He just says, he tells it like it is, and all he worries about is acquiring and collecting mill surplus guns. So I don't know. I'll send him another message and ask, and that will just be a live format. That's what I wanted to do with him, just to discuss collecting mill surplus firearms. So that will be another one. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel and check out his stuff, go ahead. I was watching his videos on that French semi-automatic rifle he got, out of, we all know where he got it. RT was refurbished, and I mean, it went full auto on him. So a lot to learn. Does good explanation, explains things, show the disassembling the weapon and what he did to get it functioning and the problems he ran into. Okay. Uh, so yeah, he's somebody you should check out. Subscribe to him. A lot of good videos there, and it's right to the point. Okay. Uh, so I see we got all right. We got more people this time around. Like I said, I'm shocked whenever I do a live broadcast in the middle of the week at any given time. I usually get 10, 15 people show up. So like what I was talking about earlier, um, I don't know what happens with YouTube or Google or whatever. I believe when they change something, because they're constantly changing something with the format over the years. Like once I get used to figuring out how to use the software and do all this stuff, within like 6 months they go and revamp everything and change it again. They recently changed something once more, and you kind of have to go through and fool with it and get it to where the notices are coming to you. Because, like I said, several people have said, "Hey, we don't get notices when you post a video, or we don't get notices when you go live." That's why I try to same time, same place, same back channel type of thing. 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. I know some people that's not a good time for them. Okay, but try to do what we can, you know. But other than that, so we got that uh, interview done, which was interesting and it's a big deal. And I guess he's got an awful lot of views on it, and I think I picked up a bunch of subscribers uh, on my channel because of it. So it's very beneficial and good. And like I said, for the past 10 years, I made all these videos. You just go to my channel, search my channel, and the videos are all there, be it Carcanos or whatever, the guns. It's difficult for me. Hey, Rudy. Yep, thanks for the compliment. Yep, Zoggy. It's difficult for me with everything going on. And I'm getting old. Is people just come out of the blue and ask me a question about something that I worked on quite a few years ago. Because, like, when I work with these guns, I do a lot of research, studying, get all the information in my head, and then, make the video. And then I may set that particular weapon down and not reload for it or do anything with it for years. Like I said, the 71 and the 7184 Mausers. It's been quite a few years since I shot those guns, and they're fun to shoot. Uh, they're actually, compared to a lot of the older obsolete cartridges, they're fairly easy to reload for. Lyman makes a bullet mold and a bullet that works perfect. You can get brass from Bertram, or you used to be able to, fairly reasonable. And that's the way to go. That's what I did. And the reason is forming a lot of these cartridges from, say, like you can do it with a, what was it? There was one I formed, the Verndl. I formed that out of like a 5090 or something, or 5095. And it's pretty simple. You just trim it down, and anneal it, run it up the sizing die, and you're all set. But the only problem is you find out there was a guy selling these on the gun broker, and he sold some, and then he find out he isn't selling anymore. And the problem is you can get 1 or 2 shots out of that. And the problem with shortening those huge black powder cartridges is that brass is tapered and it gets thicker. So when you cut quarter, 5/8 off, you're down where it's thick. And instead of being like 7 to 10,000 stick, it's 15 going on 20. You fire it a couple times, the brass flows forward and expands out. And then it gets to where the third time you reload it, you put the same bullet in there, it won't chamber. Unless you either have to run it up some sort of a sizing die and run a reaming die, which you can't do with a sizing die because the threads for the decapping plug is smaller than the throat. You have to have a specific die where you take a reamer and either ream down or you have to turn the outside of the brass with a device that holds it. One of them made a thing you can turn some off. You have to remove about 4 thousandths of material to get that brass to work again. I found, that it's less of a hassle just to pay the money for the Bertram brass, okay, and use it well and take care of it, other than going through all of this. And that's why the guy wasn't selling that. And some of these people charge you more money than Bertram does for the brass. And Bertram brass is exact. I don't know what the situation is after the health crisis of getting this stuff, but, that's another thing. All right, so like I said, I will try to contact Readiness Review again and talk to him. And see if we can get a live, and because a lot of the people here are interested in the mill surplus guns. That's a great topic, but like I said, I haven't been doing much. I went to the bargain basement stuff again. Okay, them shotguns. I picked up them, and I'm getting this stuff done little by little, getting the videos up for those of you following the channel. I'm gonna go out and shoot them, but when you're paying $110, $150 for a shotgun with a 3-inch mag chamber, it's. I mean, come on, it's obvious. Do these things have a purpose if you just use like slugs and buckshot 2 3/4 inch? Now you got a $100 gun you can just chunk in the back of the truck or whatever, something like that. Defense shotgun, that if it gets damaged or lost, you're not gonna go nuts compared to something that's $900, $1,000, $2,000. And like I said, all the running gun battles I've been in, either be it with a handgun or a shotgun, haven't really expended a lot of rounds or anything like that. But I'll give them a fair review in a different light, because to take these weapons out, like what's his name there does, and just burn 500 rounds through them, I know they're going to fail. I mean, 3-inch Magnum over the years, I never fooled with it much, never had to. I never hunted waterfowl. I never went turkey hunting. A lot of my friends that done that have worked with 3-inch shells in firearms, basically guys that hunt. And, 2 3/4 double aught buckshot and a 12 gauge simple 2 3/4 Remington slug are more than anything you're going to need. They're pretty accurate. They're easy to control. And another thing, when you get into the magnums, it's awful hard to control the weapon when the recoil is so hard on you, coming back at you. And what good is the power if you can't hit nothing with it, So we're going to work on that. That's going to take up some of my time. And like I said, with the heat, I wanted to go shoot the black powder because that's what everybody requested. But with the heat wave and the time involved, I mean, that would be tough. When it's in the 90s and you're firing them guns and all the grit, smoke, and everything, and out there in the sun, yeah, it starts to become not fun, you know. So different plans. Well, any questions to start a topic? Trying to see who we get here. We've only been live 15 minutes. Oh, Rodney did put up a video. Usually Rodney and the shotgun, Rod's shotguns. I guess he's had some personal difficulties in it. He made a video explaining it. Did an in-depth thing about steel shot or wad bursting twist barrel shotgun, and kind of got into what he does and how he works with them older guns. And but usually he comes down and comments with us, with most of the fellows up there in Canada. Of course, I don't know if they celebrate the 4th up there or not. I doubt it, but we'll see. But I guess all you guys, I've gotten a lot of comments, watch that interview. Like I said, I got your email. I just didn't have a chance to get back to you. My wife's on vacation. Been spending a lot of time with her, doing a little work on those guns and trying to upload a video here and there. Like today, I had to go. The holidays winding down. I had to go to the Legion, see everybody, see how the hell they are, talk to some people there and that. But yeah, trying to get caught up. So yeah, I mean, I might look into it. One thing he did tell me when he did the interview is he said he asked several other people, that he asked, and they kind of don't get back to him or refuse to collaborate with him, which I really didn't know why somebody would do that. But powders have you found to be good for the 6.5 Carcano? Well, when you go, I don't know where that reloading manual is. I'll show you. Reloading manual actually has Carcano loads in it, and it's an old one. You can find it. You can still go on Amazon and buy these. And it's a lineman manual. The covers falling off of it. What year is this? But it's an old lineman manual, 42 or something. And this manual does still have a lot of and it has even obsolete cartridges, because it goes in the back. I forgot this book has a thing in the back here. Data for obsolete and semi-obsolete cartridges. All right, and what it covers: 22 Savage high power, I even forgot about this. 25 3000 Savage, 2520 Winchester, 30 Remington. There's low data for the 30 Remington in here. I had an old 30 Rem once. years ago. 300 Savage, 3220, 32 Remington, 3240. See all of these old cartridges. Okay. And you can, if you search on Amazon, you can find these books. See what. I thought I had one with the cover on it. Give me a minute, gentlemen. So I give you the exact manual. Ah, there it is. '45th edition. Okay. And this has the 7.7 Jap. All of it. That is the book you want. 45th edition. Okay, it's been out of print for a while, but these things were all over the place. Okay, I've got 2 copies of them I ended up with. But go on Amazon, see if you can find it. And take your time and search because they pop up every now and again. It's like the Lyman cast bullet reloading manual. It's another useful one. There's somebody on there that photocopies it in that. But I think it's over there. Let me get it. This is another one. This one's tough to get. Everybody looks for this thing. And this is the 3rd edition. There may have been more, but Lyman used to make. And all it does is cover cast bullets and the loads for it, the load data. I did find this book. I forgot what the hell I paid for it. Somebody was trying to sell you one they photocopied and put together. But I did find a copy of this and on Amazon. And this is highly useful for cast bullets. Okay. This book does go into the 6.5 Carcano and 7.7 Jap. And as you asked, what powders it basically gives you all the IMR powders. 3031, nah. 4064 is good. 4320 I used and was excellent, but they no longer make it. Okay. So I would say 4064 is the powder to look for, and it works quite well in the Carcano. They have H380. I've tried it, but it didn't work well with me. I didn't like the results. That's still available. And 4895. I've never used 4895 in a Carcano, and if you go with a cast bullet, 2400 would probably be the best. Okay, this even covers 6.5 Japanese in here. It gives you load data for it. A lot of people ask. 6.5 Jap, 7.7 Japanese is covered in here. A lot of older cartridges. So that's the book, 45th edition. This is a good one to have. I think I got the 42nd, which back in the 50s there really wasn't a lot of info in there. It was kind of a guess and work at it type of thing. But this one is probably the best for us that collect mil surplus guns. And of course, all the Lyman manuals from them up from this are very helpful and very useful. You know. Oh yeah, that's That's the original one I bought 40 years ago. As you can see, the pages are all loose in it and everything. I've been using that manual for over 40 years. Now, Hornaday manuals are nice, and they do cover some other cartridges. I got a bunch. I got their hardcover. Uh, I like the Lyman one better, but now a lot of these older manuals, a lot of the powders are no longer being made. And that's, or they're just, even if they're still made, like I've made the videos discussing this, they're not available. Okay. There they are. There's our guys from Canada. 314 and Gun Geek. All right. Yeah, careful with the gentleman thing. No, did you guys see Rod put out a video? I guess his dad's got some issues. Kind of felt sorry for him. Yeah, I should have sent him a message or something, but I didn't. But I did watch his video. Well, that's the thing. Those powders, Vitori or whatever powders, a lot of places around, a lot of the gun shops and that around here won't stock it. I mean, I have to ask them for it, and then they get confused. And where I live, anything foreign confuses the living shit out of the locals. You can buy it online, and I was thinking of getting it. I was gonna do something for the 7.62 by 54 and make that weird heavy bullet that the Finns used. I forget the name of the cartridge. I can get the bullet, and I have to use that powder to replicate the exact load that they use. I was gonna do that, but these shortages, things are out, and you start looking for. You kind of give up after 6 months. The stuff ain't in stock. But that would you probably have to get online, and I've never used it. I know them guys SBMA there. They're a real good channel, okay, and yeah, they're Italians. They do a good job, but uh, you know some of that stuff's on. It's like whatever they get down in Australia, and I've had a couple different emails of people asking me questions from both the UK and England and in Australia. They're having a terrible time getting any type of powder. And one fella in England says, I used an American made powder and I had good results with the 7.7 Japanese and some sort of 6.5 cartridge. I wasn't quite clear on what the hell he was reloading. And he asked me about those powders. And I said, I haven't had any experience with them. Yeah, Rod's dad is having some time. And that guy's videos for years. One kg, yeah, 1 kilogram. Yeah, that was a good trade. I've never really used those powders. I mean, there are some people that have. They're good powders. But like I said, where I am, I've never seen this stuff on a shelf anywhere. I know I can order it online and get it, but when I've got the stuff that I can just pick up in the local store and it works for me, I kind of never ventured out. Like I said, one project I was going to do on there, and I went to the local shop and I wrote it down. Can you get me this? And gave him a phone number, and he looked at me. How do you say it? I said, don't worry about it. This is how it's written. See if you can find it. Yeah. Yeah, 4064. I mean, in 7.7 Japanese, it's fantastic. 30-06, whatever. I use reloader 15 in the 308 in the bolt action rifles or whatever, that sniper. That is great. I kind of get a pet load and stick with it. 4064 is okay, but I think the 308, like the French LaBelle in that 3031, is it? What is it? Yeah, I want to get to, I can't remember all the goddamn numbers. I got a keg of it. Yeah, 3031 or something is applicable for some cartridges. It works better with some. I get better results. You can get good results, with the powder if you tweak it and work up a load, and you'll find a good load for it. But all of those powders are good, you know. But it's the problem of finding them and getting them now, you know, which is tough, and the cost is something. Yeah, 45 grains, 155 grain Sierra. Yeah, and another thing too, when you change your components, like a Hornady bullet will react one way, and if you go with a Sierra or something, or a different type of bullet, it will change. That's why you gotta kind of tinker and find what you like and what works good in your gun, and stick with it. It's worth it because you can get some pinpoint accuracy out of any firearm, be it a military one or any hunting gun. Uh, I've always found a reload that works better than the factory ammo, a little bit more accurate. You know, that's just the fun of this hobby. That's why reloading is a pretty good thing to get into. You can get more performance out of your common guns. They're not target weapons like some guys, as in bench rest guys. Oh my God, they were looking for powder, certain kind of match primers, and then the brass. And he was complaining to me that he wrote a letter to the company, and they said, well, we didn't send anything out this year. Maybe next year we'll have some of this specialized brass and everything. But, that's another hobby in itself. All those guys reload because some of them, I don't know what caliber they're using. They're using some kind of a custom. They went from 6.5 was the big thing. Now 6 millimeter is the catch ass, I guess, to go and put all 5 bullets in one hole or whatever they try to do out there. Yeah, so yeah, primers for some reason, if you don't soak them in oil or water, they still go off after a long time because with this crisis, this guy would come up and he would buy 5,000 of these old Remington primers. They had to be made in the 70s. And he was coming up with this stuff that was made in the 70s, and everyone knows they changed the boxes, so the things are old, and they won't buy them. And he got them pretty cheap, and then he kind of sold them to me. Matter of fact, I have to go see him. I called him about a month ago, and he went to an auction and bought some kind of humongous pile of reloading equipment with primers and dies and everything to ride up to the house and see what he's got. But yeah, they still work. Uh, as long as they were stored somewhere, climate controlled in a house, yeah, and they didn't get water or oil on them. I think oil is the only thing that really fuck a primer up. Uh, they'll work after many years. I even had some Alcan. Somebody sent me as a donation a thing of Alcan primers, and they were made in the '60s for a few years. And I think they stopped making them by 1972 or something. And I use those primers to fire form my brass. If I got a fire former, because they were free, I fire form the brass with those primers, and all of them have gone off. Yeah, I mean that's what you do. I mean, I still got some here. I don't know, Federals or something. I put them in the 308 uh, pistol loads because Federal primers are the most sensitive. And any of those striker fire guns that are finicky and you get light strikes, I use Federal primers, small pistol primers, gone. And I found some old, and that's what I use them for. When I'm out there shooting my 308 reloads or whatever them little pistols I got, that's using them old primers. M48. That gun is quite rare. Uh, First of all, most people probably won't know what a Hungarian M48 is, and parts in that. Some of these guns, getting parts and stuff for them is bad. Ever since they closed, the hell was that place? Century Arms bought them out. Springfield Sporters. That was the name of the company, and I guess it was around since the 40s. And it was just this giant place where they took these military guns. I think he must have bought ones that were screwed up and would just disassemble them and have a whole array of parts. That place was in business for a long time. They recently sold out. And that's where you'd see if it was separated and identified. I think Century Arms, who runs that, bought the parts, and you could find them. And it was Springfield Sporters parts list, and they had stuff for the Dutch rifles and a lot of other really unusual things that nobody has. Gun Parts Corporation used to keep some, had some, but over the years, I guess they depleted a lot of these things, and that I have no idea where you would find that. And a lot of times you see like some old timer kicks or somebody went and bought something from an estate sale and be a ton of gun parts in there, unidentified. And you find all kinds of unusual, weird stuff that unless you are familiar with it, and it's hard to sort out like barrel bands and stuff from all these different models, or somebody threw them all in a box. There could be anything and everything in there, and drive you nuts. Uh, well, it's like the one Carcano rifle band. I don't know if it's for the 9142 or the 91. The handguards, the upper handguards, and the barrel bands for one of them. I think it's for the later rifle. Are impossible to find. Okay, you just can't find them. As simple as that. Yeah. Yep. A lot of that stuff is difficult to get. That's why you gotta want. Well, these cheap shotguns, I found out if you got a busted part on them, they just crank them out like popcorn. They'll sell you extensions, pistol grips, and stocks, but they won't sell you like internal parts like the plug, the end cap of the magazine, recoil springs, any bits, pieces, firing pins, things like that. They don't sell any of the actual parts to repair the gun if it's broken. And the problem with them is they're brought in by this importer that just brings them in and sells them. There's no replacement parts or anything else. They're all made in Turkey by God knows who, and they all got different names and variations of it. Um, I've looked into that, and that's a problem with these guns. If you bust something on them, and some of the parts can be replaced by either 870s or Mossberg, depending on the gun. Some say that some of the Benelli parts will fit on the semi-autos. Okay, so I don't know about that. Um, yeah, semi-disposable. Can't beat the price. It's worth the take. For me, even if the damn thing comes apart or breaks down and that, I made some videos. People are happy. You know, running the advertisements. Probably after 6 months, I might get the money back. Who knows from AdSense. I had a Turk pump gun. Sold it before I shot it. Did it scare you that bad? You know, when you looked at it, did it frighten you that bad that you sold it before you even shot it? But one of them I had. The videos are coming up. The sleeve of the barrel, sketchy looking. It had burrs on it. That part that when it goes in and the bolt locks in, that tab section, had all these burrs, sharp edges on it. I had to file it down. And something like that, if that breaks off while you're shooting it, a little burr or a hunk of metal sliver gets up in there. I mean, the other ones all seem good, but yeah, when you got to go and deburr the work and check it out. And I guess they're just not. And see, when you get into semi-autos, some automatic shotguns always had issues when you're shooting. In the old days, the shotgun shell, this is something people don't understand. The shotgun shells came in different strengths. Your low brass are usually, you know, pheasant and dove loads, target loads. And then the heavy brass is more like for pheasant and had larger shot in it. It was more for a larger animal, be it pheasants, rabbits, squirrels, or something, when you go hunting. And you used to get them, well, 314's here, he's our expert, in the drams. You used to get the thing they tell you dram load, so many ounces of shot, and it'd be either a 2 1/4, 2 3/4 dram, or 3 dram, I think was the biggest. And that's how they used to measure the black powder in them. I even had a shot cup that was graduated in grams, or a cup. You could use it for either or. Um, a shotgun charging thing. I got it somewhere. I got to look for that, see if I still got it. But that was in drams. You could measure that out in drams, and also the ounces of shot could also be measured out. Yeah, it was sketchy looking. If I fired it, it would have to be sold as used. As it was, I could sell it as new. Okay, which it was. Yeah, I bought one of those Chinese lever action guns, and I shot it. It worked halfway well. It was pretty rough action, but I shot it a few times. I thought it was cool, and but I ain't gonna use it for a friggin' defense gun when I got an 870 pump, and it's lying around. And I didn't shoot it, so I ended up selling it. Somebody wanted it more for me. Well, the bicals, depending on how you use them, okay, you got to remember the reason these skeet and trap guns cost so much, like the BT99. Okay, the gun is made solid, heavy. It's expensive. It's designed to just shoot thousands and thousands of rounds. I think I put 10,000 rounds through mine in the 5 years that I used to compete, and it's still tight. It ain't loose. Okay, the bicals, and I've seen them when I was in Eastern Europe. That is the shotgun that everybody uses in all the call them Soviet satellite countries. I've seen them in Poland and different countries. The bicals are what they use. That's the premier shotgun for hunting. It's probably one of the only guns you are allowed to use, depending on the laws. And I've seen side by sides, and mostly, and some over and unders. But you got to remember, one individual was showing me the hunting license and all this other stuff, and you're only allowed to buy so many rounds of ammo a year, okay, and go out and shoot. And if you're hunting, anyone who hunts knows that I had when you buy them 25 round boxes of shotgun shells when I was a teenager. My father had one in a dresser drawer. My grandfather had two, one slugs, one birdshot that they bought back in 1960 or 59, and that goes to show you shoot a few rounds, they weren't target shooting. So if you use those guns, the bicals, for hunting and just, shoot them on a basis where maybe, hunting wise, you may in a year fire a box or two out of it or something, they stand up. It's when you are out there ratcheting them over and over again, they break. And again, the quality varies. Some of them guns, like that little 28 gauge I kept, that thing works fine. That thing is deadly. I shot skeet with it. It is deadly. It patterns right on where I point it. It hits, and it hits good. It patterns well. I had a Turkish made gun that didn't pattern worth the shit. I had a 20 gauge bical and I had a 12 gauge, and I used to go shoot skeet with them. 20 gauge, it was rough. I mean, the action was rough. Okay, and the 12 gauge, just the way the stock is, recoils. Hey, you know it. I mean, the gun just kind of beats the piss out of me. I was going to get another stock made, and then I gave up shooting skeet, and then eventually gave up the trap. I just couldn't afford it or didn't have time to do it. And I got rid of the guns. But people buy them, they sell them at the right price. 2 3/4 dram is a light target. You go right up to 4 dram. Okay, all right. See, I remember on old boxes back when I was a kid, they had some of them old shotgun boxes, and I think I got one. It's telling me it's a 3 dram load or something. It would be on the box. That's how it'd be written. Say number 4 shot, 2 3/4 inch shell, and it would have the dram load, which would be 3 dram, 3.5 dram or something. 2 3/4 dram is a light in that. Okay, that's what it was. Shells my. All right, there we go. Somebody fired 17,000 shells in my 20 gauge bicol over with 0 issues. And yeah, see, some of them do. Okay. Well, I've seen the ejectors break. One guy was shooting skeet, the ejector broke, and he ordered a part. And what they send you is, I guess, that part universally fits in all of them, and you got to cut the round part has to be machined out to go in the gun. They didn't have one 12 gauge or whatever. They just sent you the blank part. But yeah, that did break on them. That part did break. The Baikal repairman is like the Maytag man of Russia. Yeah, Soviets, they weren't under pressure. See, and then again, you don't know when Remington was buying them if they were just turn the ejectors off. Well, I can't remember. Yeah, there is a way that they kick, and the other way they don't. Okay, and I think this guy was ejecting them, he broke that extractor piece off. Of course, when you're reloading, that's what the hell you do. You want to pull them out by your hand. You don't want them flying off into Never Land. I haven't shot that thing in so many. I forgot even how the hell it works. Would not fire. I don't understand that. Yeah, I mean, probably. I remember doing it. I took them things apart. I got rid of the thing there. Every time you break it, automatically turns the safety on. I had to go in there and cut that thing out of there on all of mine. Okay, we got some experts here. The only thing I ever fired out of that gun was Remington STS target shells. I never fired anything else out of them. I reloaded a bunch of them too. Um, the 28 gauge is a tough one to find ammo and components and stuff and all that other fun crap. Getting down there. Could have been Federals. Could have been Federals. Yeah, by calls, whatever, but I've noticed, and this is the thing, it doesn't really have nothing. Set deep. Okay. I've noticed that the gun buying craze is kind of calmed down in terms of both ammo and the guns themselves. Um, all of these three shotguns I purchased, one of them they retailed for $550. I got it for $199. The semi-automatic Turk guns, they were 2.5. I think the full shot would have been close to 300. I got that for 100.5. And the pumps were up there over $200. Two something for them, I guess. And I ended up buying it for $110. Which there's a reason for that. The reason is they're not selling. And the reason is also there's probably a whole boatload of problems that happens with these guns. And I run into one already, but there are no spare parts. So like he said, it's basically a disposable gun. Once the damn thing breaks, it's pretty much useless unless you may be able, like with the end cap, I'm going to get a Mossberg part and try to fix this problem I have. But like a recoil spring or something, I'd have to see if it's similar to the M4 or M2 or whatever. And when you watch the videos, you'll see the issues I bring up. And the problem is a lot of people figure, well, I got a deal on this. It's supposed to work 100%. And a lot of times you're getting a deal on it because the thing doesn't work 100%. And people complain and send the damn things back. And a lot of people, they keep sending a lot of them back to the store. I've heard of these stores selling these guns. And then they keep bringing them back. There's this problem. Bringing them back. There's this problem. And they just say, you know what? We ain't selling these damn things anymore. And that's what it is. Yeah, this one's kind of revolving around shotguns. Yeah, amazingly, that's what I mean. That's the reason I'm doing it. they're all new. I think one of them wasn't in a plastic bag, and it might have been a display model or somebody had it out, but the other two were still sealed in the plastic, factory new. The only thing that pissed me off is the pump shotgun had a damn silica bag in the barrel. Okay. And like you see these other guys on YouTube just take these guns out of the box and start loading it and firing it. If somebody did that without checking the friggin' barrel or taking it apart to clean it like I didn't know it was in there. I wouldn't even thought it was in there until I went and disassembled it to wipe the oil, the packing oil out. And I'm looking, what the hell is in the barrel? There was a silica pack down there. How the hell it got there, I don't know. But that was, because I've watched several videos where these people just open a box, take the gun out, look at it, check the safety, rack it back, and start loading it without cleaning it or doing nothing. Okay. I mean, that in itself. Okay. There goes your $110 deal when you got a hand missing or something. It's fucked up. I have a semi-usable Chinese copy of 1100. I don't know. I don't know what the ruble is compared to whatever they use in Turkey. See what it is in Turkey they built. And now there's some Turkish guns. I got them copies of the 1911. Man, they're fantastic. They work fine. And for what I paid, $340 or something for a 1911 copy. Okay. The 9mm, the extractor was weird on me. Probably if I replaced that damn thing, I filed on it and everything, it would stop the hiccups. And one of the magazines, I always had halfway through the mag, I had a hiccup. So there was either a dent or a defect or something in there. But if anybody remembers, um, 1911s back in the old, all of them had that. All you did was constantly tweak them. They even had drills for the different jams. Lira could be Turkish lira, you know. But what they're doing is these guns are all similar. They have different brand names. They have different importers. It's Panzer Arms, G-Force, Titan. And there's similar guns. They're similar, but they're all different. And there's like all kinds of strange variations. Okay. And I think when they get them returned and they have issues with them and there's no way to support these things, like I said, a lot of companies will drop them. So what's happening is gun sales are extremely sluggish. So everybody's just discounting them to nothing. And eventually you'll probably see where you won't hear about some of these guns anymore, or some of these models. One lira equals 3 cents. All right, if you got a conversion, rubles are still under a penny, so I don't know. Okay, what they're worth. But yeah, that's the whole thing behind it. They're just getting rid of the stock and they're not going to carry it no more. So yeah, they're going to be, well, Remington did the same thing. Remington sold those Bicals for years, and in the end, when they were closing them out, you could have got them dirt cheap. Okay, because they just want to get rid of the inventory. They're not going to take care of them or service them or parts or any other crap. And see, that's another thing. Like I said, you can't get parts for these things. This thing breaks, you're shit out of luck, man. And there's no support. They have add-ons tube extensions, caps, different stocks. Some of them have chokes, which are just basically you figure out what the hell size it is. You can buy chokes anywhere. Um, but all of these, the ones I have, all the real bargain basement ones, all have fixed chokes. They don't have adjustable chokes or removable chokes. So that's probably why that's at one tier. And they were choked. Uh, one is a few thou over cylinder, and the other one, I believe, is improved cylinder. It's another 5 thousandths tighter than cylinder, and I'm not quite sure. The third one I haven't measured yet. I haven't taken it apart and measured it. But, cylinder and improved cylinder, you can fire slugs and shot out of there till your arm falls off. Yeah, that's not bad because I remember in the old days, I always wanted a Remington 700, and the ones with the wooden stocks and that back then, they're pretty much over $300. You know, 700 to see. I gave up on keeping up with the prices on these things. You never know. And Remington, the problem with Remington is Remington went like all the chokes for the Remington shotguns are made in this weird place in West Winfield, New York. And I went and interviewed for the guy that's all he does. He had a room full of these friggin' lathes with these bar feeders on there, and they ran 24 hours a day, and all they made was the chokes, and none of them are made in the Remington plant. He does them all. And that guy was a total asshole to work for. I didn't like him. I didn't accept the job there, but he just kept these people in there. Any place you go and interview as a machinist, when you walk around with the owner while you're being interviewed, and all the employees turn their head and look down and shit throughout the whole building, regardless, you just politely tell him or hope he says he'll call you, and then never answer the goddamn phone again. He was an ass. Um, but yeah, he had these bays, and he goes, "Would you mind running like three machines and some of them in a different room?" I'm like, that's never a good thing because if I'm tied up concentrating on one machine while this other thing's over there smashing, twirling, sparks flying, and there's nobody there to hit the stop button, it's gonna be a disaster. Yeah, all that stuff is subcontracted out. And then when I was working in Rome, New York, somewhere else, this guy was starting up something, and he bought some kind of old CNC machine, and some of them they're pretty. If you get back far enough, they're not like the modern ones. The way you write the program and how the controllers work are different. And when they're out, it's confusing as hell. I could run any of the Jap machines from the past 30 years. I can run a lot of different brands. I kind of know the way the layout or the programming of the machine or how the controller works. Some of these things are pretty bizarre. And this guy was he was going to pay us all kinds of money to come over there. And this one guy was a friend of his. Go over there after work and talk to him and help him set this machine up. I said, what's he making? And he was making a part for Remington, some kind of ejector or something, or some basic part. Remington was subcontracting all the little tiny internal components out. Now, I remember trying to pull apart my 870 pump or 1100. Okay, and stuff was fitted in there pretty tight together. And this one guy, he brought 1100 and he tried stripping it down, and some of the parts just, I know they shouldn't have fallen out of the gun, but they did. When he tried getting a bolt out, something was screwed up the trigger. The parts fell out. And I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. And that's because they subcontract all this shit to these other places, didn't do any inspections, and you got bad parts in there. Yeah, because this guy, this one area, that's all he did. And what he did, the strange thing was about this fella is he would buy these machines new. And CNC machines are like a car. Okay, so irregardless what model make you had, after so many years, they're looked upon like a vehicle. So I guess when you buy them new, the first 5 to 7 years, they're under warranty and stuff gets replaced. And what he would do is he would buy these machines new. He would run them round the clock for that 5 to 7 years. He would sell the machines. And of course, back when there used to be manufacturing in the U.S., you could probably do this. Sell this machine and get some of the value out of it. Okay, then he would buy a new one. It was something to do so he didn't need maintenance or nothing or anything like that. And that's what he would do. But when he's doing that, that son of a bitch is on your ass. And I mean, you ain't there. You can't go take a piss without somebody yelling at you or something. You know, you're running that damn machine and that machine is running and you keep it running. Because something goes wrong or gets clogged or screwed up, you got to get in there, get it straightened out, and get it running again. Okay. And I mean, I've seen it. He had a whole room full. And there's people that worked in that area for years and were pretty good at it. Actually, somebody got me this choke, and he goes, it was a rum choke. And one guy that worked there, he kind of worked back and forth between the two places. Um, he said that his uncle worked there for years, and he goes, what they would do is they would adjust the choke tighter and tighter until it would really fling the pattern out or something. And he brought me this choke and said, try this out. And what they did is they just constricted it another 4 or 5 thousandths or so, maybe more. And he said they just kept doing it and they found this was the tightest choke you can get, like an 870 or what. And I still got that damn thing somewhere because it's the one, it's not marked or nothing. But yeah, the chokes were good. So he did a good job there. I don't think he made any other parts for Remington, but he made all their choke tubes. Yeah. Um, and I mean, he must have been the sole supplier because, like I said, if he was selling these machines every 7 years and getting a new batch of machines, that's what he did, and that's probably why the quality on them uh, was good. Leopold scopes. I'm not into scopes. I never have been, but Leopold, if if they're still made in America, because I've seen scopes with all these different brands that used to be American made, they're made in China. So if it's still made in the US, if it's an actual one, and be aware the Chinese will make a damn scope, put Leopold on there anyway, and people will sell them. But if it is a Leopold scope, they're good. They're very good scopes. There's Rod. Rod, we're glad you got here, man. All right, so it's a US one. Yeah, I'd seen your video, but I was busy kind of on vacation with my wife. I didn't get a chance to comment or send anything to you or communicate with you. Uh, but I did watch your video um, that you posted this week, about how not to blow up a twist barrel shotgun. Uh, yeah, Rod, we're discussing shotguns here. You have any of those wonderful Turkish defense shotguns? Nope. Oh well. We're going to delve into them in my channel because of the bargain basement prices that they're being sold at, which I believe, when they closing them out, that means they're not going to carry the damn things anymore because of a shitload of problems they probably had. People returning them, complaining, crying, going nuts. Uh, yeah, the stocks on there, they're made to look like something, but that pump, I can tell already, it looks like a more modern stock. But I know that thing when I shoot it, it's gonna hurt. Rod's not a cheerleader for Turk guns. A few hundred, a few hundred. I got a pump for 110 bucks and a semi-auto for 100 and a half on, supposedly on sale. I mean, if I can shoot 5 rounds out of them, before they explode. But yeah, that's what they used to sell for here. Now they're just dropping them like nothing. Well, the whole idea of the channel, Rodney, is to be open minded and look at things for some of the viewers who are cost conscious. Okay. 1909 long rifle. All right, so you got it from Iraqi vet down there. I know he works in that one gun shop down in Georgia. Down there. You can, believe me. I'll show you in these videos. You can. I've seen people. They tried to put one guy had a video. He tried putting that extension, 2-round extension on. He cross-threaded the threads on the magazine tube. And I mean, he must have got stuck and just cranked it until he screwed the end of the tube up. No, he goes, it won't stay on. I said, well, and it is. When I did it, you can feel it. You start cross threading it, you just back it off and get it to where it drops down. You don't go get a pipe wrench and, common sense, a lot of common sense shit. Argentine 1909 long. 1909. Yeah, yeah. I'm just making content to see if these things. And the thing is, I'll be honest, and I'll tell you, things a piece of shit. Don't buy it. But I'll go out and try them out. You know, I guess everybody's had trouble on there. One guy that does the 500 round burn downs. None of these guns stand up. Even one of the pumps, but I think it was a Chinese made pump. It's a copy to Winchester. The pump I got, I believe, is like either Mossberg 500 or like an 870 copy, somewhat. It's not the same, but somewhat like it. And we'll see how I ran into trouble already. All I can say is watch the channel. I already had issues right before I even, got it clean. Yeah, 1200, not so much. Well, I mean that's the idea. The idea is just test it, see. And I know if I put certain 3-inch slugs in any of those guns, they're gonna just get fucked up. Okay. So basically, if you're short on cash and you want a gun and you just want to shoot some double aught buck or slugs in it for home defense, and that's another thing. Now they're saying some of these models are going to have 26-inch barrels, so you can, you know, go on your military hunts, and then if you want to go shoot some birds, you can go and do that also. You know, I have no idea. They're trying to market them, but there's like 5 different importers, and there's all kinds of different versions, so it's going to be a barrel of laughs. But yeah, also parts and repair. It's non-existent here. Okay, there are no parts, and you can't get them repaired. You're very correct on that. But Churchill 512, I don't know. Mint condition Argentine. Well, semi-auto shotguns, even the brand name ones for years. Remington 1100, they never did get the ports right. They're always finicky. They work with certain shells, they don't work with certain shells, and they've always tried to have some kind of device or changing something to make them work with a whole array of shotgun shells. Semi-autos, like I use an 1100 to shoot trap with, and I use one load, got the gun working right, and I go out and shoot it. And a lot of the older guys, because 1100 was a popular gun, it was inexpensive, it was a nice gun. But he told me, he goes, I went and bought these cheap plastic wads, and he goes, after in between every 100 round shoot, he goes, I have to take the gun apart. And I even had a little thing to hold a drill, and we'll go in there and clean the gas ports out and get the crap out of it, carbon and that. He goes, the plastic was shearing off and getting inside the gun. He had to brush it all out and everything. Um, you know, and people said, hey, we like them. You got to clean them meticulously. You have to kind of upkeep them. They're a pain in the ass. But I mean, they're a decent gun, but there were problems. And you're going to find that with all these semi-autos. Like these semi-autos, however they have it, I've already seen from the other videos what happens. There's a metal gasket or ring inside the little gas plug thing that goes up into the barrel, whatever you want to call it. And when you put a magnum round in there, it's like a snap ring type thing, or however they put it on there. So if it snaps on with a space, if you use enough force from blasting depleted uranium 3-inch magnum slug or some stuff, it peels that metal thing off. And then when it tries to go home, it hangs up, and then the bolt won't close on them. So, yes, that's true, Carter. That's the thing. The thing is, you know, it's common sense. All right, and I don't know about any of you guys, but I've never really used 3-inch mags in a defense gun, even if the gun had the chamber for it. I found that the recoil on them is that, and really, if you're using a riot gun like when we had a standard, and I got some of those rounds. I'm going to run them through standard U.S. rounds, of green Winchester shells, 9 pellets, double-aught buck. That's all we used in the military. Of course, now I don't know for breaching doors or whatever the hell they do, but I'm just talking. The standard thing was 2 3/4 buckshot. Okay, and that was for close range defense of somebody crawling on top of the ship or something. You know, we had machine guns and other things for farther out, but right on the ship is either your pistol or the shotgun. When they had borders. Weatherby. I know Weatherbys are made in foreign countries, but I never thought they'd be made. You're gonna have to wildcat it, Eric, or get a membership. And I think I posted my load data on that round. Okay, and that's after trial and error and guessing. You're not going to find nothing written down. But yeah, so gonna have some fun here. The Turk guns. Let me see. A mint condition. Argentine 1909. Well, let me see. $1909. Okay, now I remember. That's the one on a 98 action. I remember them. I can't remember if I had one of those or not. When they were coming in the 80s, I got one. I think I got the Argentine one. Or maybe I didn't because I didn't want to mix up the ammo. I think I might have passed on the Argentines. I got my Brazilian 1908 that I bought. I had the Swedish ones. What the hell else did I get from them? I had several of them when they came in back in the 80s, and some of them were in mint condition. They're a good gun. Weatherby. So you had a Weatherby, Turkish-made Weatherby? Never heard of such thing. Yeah, them Russian guns weren't cheap. Okay, you paid $7 for that, and I mean all them years ago, and them over and unders were like $400 or something. I can't quite remember what they were, but they were a lot more expensive then than this stuff that's floating around now. I don't even know if anybody makes a low grade over and under side by side anymore. And if you do find one of these foreign made ones, it's expensive. I forget what the hell was it. Was it Rossi made some kind of defense. My niece's husband bought one. It was 20 gauge side by side with a rail mounted on it, or it could have been a Stoger or something years ago, like a coach gun side by side. He got one of them. I don't think he's had any problems with that. He's had it for years. Of course, a few times they fire it. You know, I don't know if they even put 100 rounds to it in all these years, but that seems to work. And I forget, those are like about $300 or something. They used to have them at the Gander Mountain. I'd never believed that Weatherby's would be made in Turkey. That's not good. Stay away from the Brazilian side by sides. They're junk. Cause I don't know, Weatherby's. It used to be some of them rifles way back were made in Germany or they were made in Japan, and the over and under I had when I bought it back in the 80s, that was a grand. Somebody told me it was a SKS. And he goes, the only difference between this shotgun and an SKS is they look at the grade of the wood, and if the wood looks nicer than that, they put a nicer grade of wood on this gun and then call it a Weatherby. You know, I don't think I forget the story behind it, but the person never made SKB. You're right, SKB. My mistake. It's been so long. I can't remember all this. SKB, SKS, KGB, QRL, Turk, GF12P, and all. I get confused. I get confused. That's why just one of them. Yeah, just one of them things there. Yeah, that's it. MKVD. Yeah, you gotta be old to remember that. But yeah, so that's probably what I'm going to work on. And once the weather breaks, probably take them black powder guns out. So like I said, I have a pile of black powder. I might as well burn it up instead of just sitting here looking at it and see if that'll be available once it's all exhausted or whatever. And all these other fun things. But Weatherby's made in Turkey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was a good gun, but I ended up getting rid of it. Um, had issues with the little firing pin and the spring in there, and then to get it fixed, I could have done it. I don't know. Maybe I should have kept it. Maybe I shouldn't. Does Turkey like to play skunk? Well, what the Turkish gun industry has done, okay, and how it's become a force here globally, is you look at what a machinist is paid. Uh, when I was looking into it, to go to any Western European country, depending on what company you work for, like Germany, if you were working in a factory making some precision stuff, you got paid pretty high. In Great Britain, you were just about on par with what the US would pay. And again, here in this country, it depends where you are. Okay. I could be a skilled machinist running what I'm running. Okay. I can go to one part of the country and the pay would be 10-15% less. Okay. It's kind of like coming here, they didn't pay you as much as they did up north, but the cost of living here is lower. So even though your standard scale or rate, whatever hell they're paying you, is a little bit less in this region, I'm doing better making less money here in North Carolina than I was up in New York. Okay. And again, who you work for. I had a defense plant job. Those were great jobs. Okay. There's very few of them left. Okay. For either General Electric, Boeing, any military or defense contractor, when you work for a defense plant, you made top dollar. Okay. And had a whole array of benefits, insurance, and everything. It was a good place to work. Those jobs are few and far between. Now you're like a contractor. I knew some people that lived here. The guy does structural repairs to military aircraft. And I mean, they take them up. I mean, it's temporary though. It's going to be 3-4 months. But he can be making 90 grand a year, but he's only working 3 months. Once the repairs are done, he's out. He's got to go to another place with his specialized skills and do it again. Okay, that's about because I was called for F-22s when I first moved here all these years ago. They called me several times to go to Seattle. I was a General Electric employee, so they would call me up and say, hey, look, you want to come back and work for us? You have to bring all your tools with you. Okay. I had to bring all my tools all the way up to Washington, work for 6 months, make a shitload of money, get told to leave. And they called me several times, and I just, it's never worth it. And I knew a guy who worked for Honeywell, worked there for years. Okay, he was 50 years old. They phased him out. They said, you either got to retire or you're out. And he goes, I can't. I'm only 50. I'm not 55. I don't hit the prerequisite. They shit canned him 5 years short of him walking out of there being all right. But ended up had to leave Arizona, ended up in Virginia working at the deli counter in Walmart. And then he would have to drive an hour and a half or so down into Greensboro and was working in these places. So it's tough racket. But what they did in Turkey and like Poland, Yugoslavia, I believe after the fall of communism, a skilled machinist in a factory at the time, now this is going back 15 years, that might have changed. He made $300 a month is what you got paid. Okay. Compared to say, well, you're making, $35,000, $40,000 a year, it isn't $300 a month. Okay. So they went in Turkey and somebody went and built these plants with all brand new CNC equipment, all this other stuff, top of the line crap. Your labor costs are cheap. You ain't got to pay nobody. And the more your process is automated and just crank this shit out, okay, less people you need. And how the factories run is there are engineers, programmers, and probably a handful of people. And I've done this in a factory. I was the only one on the floor with 26 machines that was allowed to touch anything or do anything. And that was my job, is to go adjust, load the programs, get it set up, get it started and running. And all the employees would just sit there and press a button. So you're looking at 50 to 40% of your labor is just operators. Okay. And if you have the place laid out and planned it right, you can kind of get away with this. So you have a few skilled laborers working for $300 a month, and the other people you're probably paying them $100 a month. And all they're doing is loading shit into machines and pulling it out, putting it in racks and wheeling it around. That's how they get the cheap price. Okay. That's how it works. And that's why they're turning out garbage. The Russians, mass production and labor costs were less, but the Russians do everything just high production, efficiency, basic thing, no frills, no real finesse. And like you guys said, some of the older Baikal guns back in the old days probably were better, but it's not until they start importing them into the US where now you got to ship large numbers of them. So now production comes up, cut corners, and you end up with dog shit. Gungy, cheap production, some Canadian suppliers. All right, looking at some Canadian suppliers, 12 gauge pump. And these are the Turkish ones, $300. Yeah. And semis are $4. That's why I'm saying for $110 and $150, even if the guns are shit, I'm going to prove that. Vintage guns and grab a gun. Now, Canax, some of those pistols, some of those Turkish pistols I got, there ain't a damn thing wrong with them. For the amount of money I pay for them, they're good guns. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I really have no need. I got my 870, and that's all I need. Okay, I got that short barrel for it, and that's what I would use. If there's somebody raising holy hell out here, I just lay some buckshot on them. That's it. Uh, I don't really need anything else, but I do have to make content to keep the channel going. So I thought this would be a good idea. But yeah, that's why you get these cheap guns. That's why you get all this weird stuff. And, I can tell by looking at them, the tolerances and that. But it's kind of like an AK-47. Tolerances don't really need to be that close. Um, but the problem is semi-autos are always a problem. It's the AR-15 looking one that we're gonna. Cause I know somebody that has wanted one of them forever, so I'm gonna go and test it out, make sure it works, and of course the drum is the must-have. Okay, but yeah, but I like that. I sold it. I had a Turkish pump shotgun. I sold it before I fired it. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I know that. Got to get my ratings up, Gun Geek. You know, you should do more of them frying spam on the Coleman gear videos. Well, yeah, Turkish firearms industry was established by the Germans. I don't think they're the ones that installed them CNC machines. So, but yeah, that's basically how it works. Is the labor cost, okay? And somebody did invest. Now we're talking about shotguns, but there are several pistols that I've gotten out of there. The Canax, and again, SDS, whatever, or that stupid Stoger pistol is made in Turkey. It's just a Glock clone. That thing was inexpensive. And out of all those budget pistols I fooled with and bought, okay, the magazines are expensive because each different size. There was, I think, 13 going at mid size and then 10 going a little sub micro compact. And then there's a full size that I think has 17 rounds or something. The magazines are expensive, but the thing works. Okay, it's simple, it works, and it shoots all the ammunition that all these other striker fire guns would give me a hard time with. Okay, and you know, maybe somebody I've seen videos where people bought them when they first come out, and the damn gun didn't work worth the shit. Okay, maybe I got lucky. Maybe if I bought the one behind it off the shelf, I'd have issues. I don't know. I ain't gonna buy a half dozen of them, test them all out. Old, yeah, the old. I won't buy an 870 that was made after the 80s. Winchester 1300s are a good gun. Uh, they all are. Oh, gun geek, how can you say that? When I'm big, why? I get one interview done and still hasn't. Well, a lot of views, but haven't seen my ratings skyrocket. I looked at my little graph. It's a little bump. People like you said, people like the cheap guns. That's what's bumping it. Yeah, people. I said in one video, I went to the flea market and this guy shows up with a pickup truck with about 40 single shot shotguns. And I think the most expensive one he had, or the nicest one, he wanted like $125, and they were $40 on up. And I mean, he just was throwing them like wrenches up onto the table, and they swarmed. And I swear to God, one Saturday he sold half of them. You know, people love them things. Okay, people love them. Even Mossberg. Yep. So that's what we kind of got planned. This actually we did good today. Had a good turnout. Come up with, even though we stuck to one discussion, cheap guns. Somebody picked up a nice Milsurp gun, and yeah, a lot of people. When I even just said this the start of the series, a lot of people have a very dim view of the Turkish shotguns, and they're so. Like I said, we'll go out, take a look, see how it is, give my assessment of it. Because a lot of people don't take them apart and explain, well, it's doing this because of this. You know, they just do it till it don't work. And, hey, it's junk, fling it. You know, get a little more in depth. Well, guys, getting up here, an hour and 45 minutes. I'm getting tired. So, probably going to wrap it up. And I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, we can come up with something to talk about, or whatever. You guys shoot out something there that you're, you know, looking for. Good, then 314. Stay tuned. That's the whole idea of being on YouTube. All right, guys. So again, thank you guys for hanging around. Thanks for your input. As usual, it's always fun. And check it out. I'll be down same time next week.